Somewhere in your head there is a picture, a pale woman in a silver gown, a crescent resting in her hair, serene, remote, feminine. You have seen her on tarot cards and album covers and bottle labels, and on the cover of every book about goddesses ever printed. She feels eternal. She feels like something humanity has always known, a truth so old it must be built into us. She is not. Across most of the world and most of recorded history, that woman does not exist. In the oldest city that ever kept a calendar, she is an old man with a beard of blue stone. In Egypt, he is a bird with a curved black beak, and he wins the year at a gambling table. In Scandinavia, he is a boy. He is running. There is a wolf behind him, and it is going to catch him. In Japan, he is a murderer, and his crime is the reason night and day never touch. In India, he is a man with 27 wives, and also a drink you pour on a fire. The moon. The one object every human being who has ever lived has looked up at and tried to explain. And here is what almost nobody tells you. In myth, the moon is usually male, and the sun, very often, is a woman. The silver lady in your head is not an archetype. She is a local habit, a regional accident that happened to get an empire attached to it. She comes from 2 languages, Greek and Latin, and she arrived very late. By the end of this, you will know exactly where the moon changed sex on the road to us, and why everything you have been told about the moon goddess runs backwards. Start where the counting started, southern Iraq. 5,000 years ago, a city built on mud at the edge of a marsh. This city is called Ur. Rising out of it is a mountain that human hands made, 3 terraces of baked brick stacked into the haze. This is a ziggurat. On the top of it is a chamber, and in that chamber lives the most important god in the city. His name is Nanna. That is the Sumerian. In Akkadian, the same god is called Suen, and later Sin. Get this right, because half the internet gets it wrong. Nanna and Sin are not 2 gods. They are one god in 2 languages. The names were already interchangeable before 2500 BC. Sometimes the scribes just wrote both at once. Nanna Suen, and he is a man, bearded, enthroned. His father is Enlil, lord of the air. His mother is Ninlil. His wife is Ningal, the great lady. Now here is the part that should stop you. Nanna has a son, and that son is the sun. Utu in Sumerian, Shamash in Akkadian, the blazing judge who climbs the eastern mountains every morning with a saw in his hand. He is the moon's child. In Mesopotamia, the sun does not outrank the moon. The sun answers to it. They said it out loud in the titles. Sin is the great boat of heaven. Utu is the small boat of heaven. Because to them the moon was the bigger light, not the fainter one. Look at a night sky with no electricity and you might agree. The moon is the one that changes. It swells, it thins, it vanishes, it comes back. It is doing something. The sun just burns, and a thing that changes on a schedule is a thing you can count with. So they counted with it. The Mesopotamian month is the moon's month. It begins on the evening a priest first sees the new crescent from the top of the ziggurat. Not on a date, on a sighting. A man on a brick tower watching the western dusk, deciding whether tomorrow is the first. Sin's sacred number is 30. 30 days, 30 nights of a cycle. The god is the calendar, and the calendar is the god. His symbol is the crescent, lying on its back like a boat, or curving up like the horns of a bull. Both images are his. Because the crescent looks like horns, Sin is also a herdsman. The stars are his cattle. He drives them across the black pasture. And he does not stay in Ur. Far to the northwest in Syria, there is a city called Haran, and Sin owns it too. Haran outlives everything. Empires fall on top of it. The moon god's temple there is still being rebuilt in the 6th century BC. The last king of Babylon, Nabonidus, becomes obsessed with him, elevates him, restores his temples, and then vanishes into the Arabian desert for years while his own priesthood seethes. Hold on to that image. The last native king of Babylon, ignoring his capital, chasing a moon god across a desert. Nobody was worshipping a silver lady. Now go west. Follow the Euphrates to the sea, then across it to a green ribbon in a red desert. Egypt. And Egypt has a problem because Egypt has too many moons. There is Aya, which is simply the word for the moon, hardened into a god. There is Khonsu, and there is Thoth. Do not merge them. They are different gods with different jobs, who happen to share the same rock in the sky. All of them are male. Start with Thoth. You know his shape even if you do not know his name. A man's body, the head of an ibis. That long black sickle of a beak curving down. It is not decoration, it is the crescent worn on the face. Thoth is the god of writing, of reckoning, of measurement, of the exact word. He invents letters, he keeps the score. His city is Kmun, which the Greeks renamed Hermopolis, because they took one look at him and said, "That is our Hermes." And Thoth does something with the moon that no other god in any mythology does. He gambles it away from itself. This story survives best through a Greek Plutarch writing more than 1,000 years after Egypt's golden age. So take the details lightly, but the shape of it is unforgettable. In the beginning, the year is 360 days, neat, round, closed, and a goddess, Nut, the sky, is forbidden to give birth on any day of it. She is sealed out of the calendar entirely. So Thoth sits down to play, not with the sun, with the moon, a game for stakes. And what he wins is a fraction, 1/72 of the moon's light. Do the arithmetic. 360 divided by 72. 5. He wins 5 days. Days that belong to no month, no season, nothing. Days made of moonlight sitting outside the year. And on those 5 stolen days, Nut gives birth. Osiris, Horus the Elder, Set, Isis, Nephthys. Every major god of the Egyptian story exists because a bird-headed accountant beat the moon at a game, and the year becomes 365. Look at what that story is saying. The moon is not a face in the sky. The moon is a bank of time, and time can be won off it. Now Khonsu, different god, different city, Thebes, and the enormous stone forest of Karnak. His name means the traveler, the one who crosses, because that is what the moon does. It walks night after night and never stops. He is shown as a boy, tightly wrapped like a mummy, the side lock of youth hanging by his ear, a full disk sitting in a crescent on his head. He belongs to a family. His father is Amun, the hidden one. His mother is Mut, father, mother, son, the Theban triad. And by the later periods he is gentle, a healer. Kings send his statue abroad to cure foreign princesses. But go back far enough, into the oldest religious writing Egypt has, and Khonsu is something else entirely. In the pyramid texts, in the passage scholars call the cannibal hymn, Khonsu is the butcher, the one who takes gods apart so a dead king can consume their power. Sit with that. The gentle moon boy of Karnak began as an executioner. The moon does not stay the same shape, neither did he. Now north, out of the heat, past the whole classical world, up into the cold, Scandinavia, a fjord under a sky the color of iron. And here the sun and moon are a brother and sister, running for their lives. Their father is a man called Mundilthari, and he does something arrogant. He looks at his two beautiful children and names them after the lights. His daughter, Sol, sun. His son, Mani, moon. Say that again, because English speakers get it wrong constantly. Mani is a man, Sol is a woman, the moon is her little brother. The gods are offended by the naming, so they take the two children, put them in the sky, and give them jobs. Sol drives the chariot of the sun, Mani steers the moon and governs its waxing and waning, and neither is allowed to slow down. Because behind them there are wolves, two of them, born of a giantess in a forest east of everything, bred for one purpose. Skol runs at Sol. Hati Hodvidnison runs at Mani, mouths open, never tiring, never further behind than they were yesterday. That is why the sun and moon move. Not majesty, not a stately procession across the heavens, terror. The lights of the North sky are prey animals. Everything beautiful up there is fleeing something, and it is losing. And Mani is not alone. He stole company. Two children, Shuki and Bill, taken from a well one night. The Norse looked at the moon's dark markings and saw two kidnapped kids with a bucket. And at the end of the world, the wolves win. That is stated plainly. The sun is swallowed. The moon is caught. The stars fall out of the sky, and the sea comes over the land. Ragnarok begins with the death of a brother and a sister. Note what the Norse never once do. They never make the moon a woman. In their language, it is impossible. Hold that thought. It is the whole answer. Now go east, all the way east to the last islands before the open Pacific. Japan does something to the standard model that should be famous, and somehow is not. The sun is a woman, not a minor woman. Amaterasu, the greatest deity in the pantheon, the ancestress the imperial line claims descent from, and the moon is her brother. Tsukuyomi. His name is built from the word for moon and the word for reading or counting. The moon reader. The moon counter. Again, the moon is the thing you keep time with. He is born in an act of washing. Izanagi, returning from the land of the dead, purifies himself in a river. From his left eye comes the sun. From his right eye comes the moon. From his nose comes the storm Susanoo. 3 children out of a father's face. And for a while the sun and the moon share the sky. Day and night are not yet separated. Then Amaterasu sends her brother on an errand. There is a goddess who must be visited. Her name is Ukemochi. She is food itself. And Ukemochi lays out a banquet for him. But of the manner in which she produces it, we will say only this: she makes it from her own body. Tsukuyomi is revolted. He takes it as an insult, filth, offered to a god, and he kills her. We are not going to dwell on it. What matters is what grows out of the ground afterwards: cattle and horses, millet, rice, wheat and beans, and silkworms. Agriculture itself comes out of that death. Japan's entire food supply is the corpse of a goddess, the moon murdered out of squeamishness. And Amaterasu, when she hears, does not punish him. She does something colder. She says, "You are a wicked god. I will not look at you again." And she moves. She puts the whole width of the sky between them. That is why the sun and the moon are never together. Day and night are not a mechanism. They are a family estrangement that never healed. The moon is a brother his sister will not face. One honest note. This version is in the Nihon Shoki, the 8th century chronicle. The Kojiki tells it differently. There the killer is not Tsukuyomi, but Suzanu, and the victim is a goddess named Ogetsuhime. Same story, different defendant. Which is what old myth actually looks like. Not a fixed scripture. 2 courts, 2 verdicts, both written down, neither erased. And Tsukuyomi has almost no cult. A quiet hall at Ise, near his sister's blazing one. The most powerful moon in myth, and almost nobody prays to him. Now west again. To the Indian subcontinent, where the moon is not only a man, the moon is a substance. His name is Chandra. He is also called Soma, and Soma is a liquid. In the oldest layer, the Vedic hymns, Soma is a plant. You crush it, you strain it, you drink it, and something happens to you. The poets who drank it wrote that they had become immense, that they could lift the earth, that they had found the light, and were now immortal. Nobody today knows for certain what plant it was. That knowledge is simply gone. But the god of it is the moon. Because the moon is a cup, it fills, it is drunk from, it empties, and then somehow it fills again. That is not a metaphor bolted on afterwards. That is the model. The moon is the bowl of immortality. The gods drink down every month and never quite finish. And Chandra, as a person, is a disaster. Beautiful, cold-skinned, riding a chariot pulled by antelope, and utterly incapable of behaving. He marries 27 wives, all of them daughters of the same father, the patriarch Daksha. And those 27 are not a harem. They are the nakshatras, the 27 star houses the moon passes through, one per night, on its circuit. His marriage is an astronomical diagram. He is supposed to spend one night with each, in order, forever. That is what the moon does. But he falls in love with one of them, Rohini, and he stops moving. 26 women watch him stay in one house. They go to their father, and Daksha curses the moon with a wasting disease. Chandra begins to die, visibly. Piece by piece, night after night, thinning to nothing in front of the whole world. The gods intervene. The curse cannot be lifted, only bent. So a compromise is reached. He will waste away for half of every month and be restored for the other half, forever. That is the Indian explanation for the phases, not orbits, not shadow. A jealous father-in-law, a compromise, and a punishment that never ends. Every full moon is a man temporarily forgiven. Every dark night is the sentence being carried out again. And he does not learn. Chandra later abducts Tara, the wife of Brihaspati, the teacher of the gods himself. It nearly starts a war in heaven. She is returned, pregnant, and refuses at first to say whose child it is. The child is Buddha, who becomes the planet Mercury. Half the sky is descended from a moon who could not keep his hands to himself. And Chandra sits among the Navagraha, the 9 planetary powers. The moon has an enemy there, and the enemy has no body. When the gods churned the ocean for the nectar of immortality, a demon slipped into the line and drank. The sun and the moon saw it. They told, and Vishnu's discus took the demon's head off before the nectar passed his throat. But the head had already tasted it, so the head cannot die. It is called Rahu. It is still up there, and it remembers exactly who informed on it. That is an eclipse. Rahu catching the moon and swallowing it, and it always falls back out, because there is no body under that mouth. Now, finally, Greece, where the accident happens. Her name is Selene. She is a titan of the generation before the Olympians. Her parents are Hyperion and Thea, and her siblings tell you everything. Helios, the sun; Eos, the dawn; 3 lights, 1 family, and the moon is the sister. She drives a chariot too, pulled by white horses, or sometimes by oxen, because the crescent, again, is a pair of horns. And she has one story, only one that really belongs to her, and it is strange and very sad. She sees a young man asleep in a cave on Mount Latmus, a shepherd or a king. His name is Endymion, and she wants him. Not for a night, permanently, unchanged, exactly as he is at that moment. So he is given a choice, or a gift, or a sentence. The sources disagree. Eternal sleep. He will never age. He will never wake. And every single night she comes down to look at him. For thousands of years. He does not know she is there. He has never known. Some sources give them 50 daughters. 50, the number of lunar months between one Olympic Games and the next. Read the myth as what it is. The moon returns to the same place at the same interval, unchanging, and the world below sleeps through it. And now the part that matters most in this entire video. Selene is not Artemis. In early Greek cult they are separate. Selene is the moon itself, the disk, the light, the thing in the sky. Artemis is a wild goddess of hunting and animals and the edges of the world, and in the earliest layers she is not lunar at all. The identification is later, post-classical. It happens the same way her brother Helios gets folded into Apollo by poets and philosophers, tidying up. It is a merger, not a memory. Someone looked at 2 goddesses and decided they were one, centuries after the fact. So when people today say the moon goddess and picture a huntress with a bow and a crescent on her brow, that is the merger talking, not Greek religion. Rome makes it worse. Rome has Luna, an old goddess with real temples, one on the Aventine, one on the Palatine. Luna is genuine and Roman and gets her own festivals. But Rome also has Diana, and Diana is Rome's Artemis. And so the same tidying happens again, one layer further down. Artemis is the moon, Diana is Artemis, therefore Diana is the moon. 2 mergers stacked on top of each other. And that is the figure Europe inherits. That is the silver woman in your head. Now leave the Mediterranean entirely and watch how fast she disappears. China. The most famous name on the moon is a woman, but she does not rule it. She is stranded on it. Chang'e. Though that is not her original name, she was Hing-e until a Han emperor happened to be called Hing-e, and you may not use an emperor's name. So a goddess was renamed by bureaucracy. Her husband is Ho-yi, the archer who shot 9 suns out of a sky that had 10. For that he is given the elixir of immortality, and it is she who takes it. Why is the whole question? In the gentlest version, a thief breaks in while Hui is away, and she drinks it rather than surrender it. In the colder, older telling, she simply steals it and runs. No thief, no excuse, just a woman who wanted it and took it. Either way, she rises. Weightless, uncontrollable, up through the dark, and she stops at the nearest thing, the moon. And in the oldest strand, there is a punchline the festival cards leave out. She arrives, and she becomes a toad. Immortal, yes. Sovereign of the night, no. She is a woman in an empty palace with nothing but a rabbit that will not stop pounding a mortar. That is what the Chinese saw in the moon's markings. not a face. A rabbit at work, grinding out the elixir of a life that will never end. Chang'e is not a moon goddess in the Western sense. She does not drive it, own it, or embody it. She lives there. It is the address of her exile. And the actual moon deity of Chinese state religion is Taiyin, the great yin. Not a personality, a principle, the dark half of a balance. Now cross the Pacific to the Yucatan and to the biggest mistake on this entire list. You have heard of Ixchel. She is on the tour signs, in the guidebooks, on 1,000 websites. The Maya moon goddess. She is very likely not. And the story of how she became one is a lesson in how myth gets manufactured. In the 20th century, the enormously influential scholar J. Eric S. Thompson connected the name Ixchel with the Maya moon. The logic looked sound. Ixchel governs childbirth, weaving, medicine. The moon governs cycles, fertility, cycles. Surely the same goddess. It went into the books, then into the popular books, then into everything. And later scholars went back to check it. Two problems. First, the colonial-era Maya sources that name Ixchel never actually say she is the moon. Second, look at the art. The classic Maya moon deity is a young woman sitting inside a crescent, often holding a rabbit. And Ixchel, goddess O in the codices, is old, aged, jaguar-eared, clawed, associated with floods and destruction. A young woman in a crescent and an aged, jaguar-clawed grandmother are not the same figure. They were merged by an assumption. There was a Maya moon goddess. That much is certain, and she has a rabbit, exactly like China's. Her name is the honest problem. We are not sure it was Ixchel. Which means the most famous moon goddess in the Americas may be a 20th century clerical error, printed onto souvenir mugs. Now up into the mountains, central Mexico, the Aztec. Her name is Coyolxauhqui. It means painted with bells, because there are golden bells on her cheeks. Her mother is Coatlicue, she of the serpent skirt. And Coatlicue becomes pregnant in an impossible way. A ball of feathers falls from the sky and touches her. Coyolxauhqui does not accept this. She gathers her 400 brothers, the Sensonhuetznahua, and she marches on her own mother. They climb the hill of Coatepec, armed. And what they do not know is that the child in the womb is listening. He is Huitzilopochtli. And he is born in the instant of the attack, born fully grown, fully armed, fully aware of who is coming. What follows we will not show you. It ends at the foot of the hill, and it is the founding image of an empire. And in 1978, electricity workers digging in downtown Mexico City hit something. A stone disc more than 3 meters across. Coyolxauhqui carved into it, at the base of what turned out to be the Templo Mayor, laid exactly where she fell. That discovery reopened the buried heart of Tenochtitlan. Now the caveat, because we promised honesty. You will read everywhere that her head became the moon, thrown up by her brother. It is a beautiful line. It is also hard to verify. The 16th century sources do not clearly say it, and scholars have flagged it as a later addition. So we say it carefully. Coyolxauhqui is associated with the moon. Whether the Aztecs themselves said she became, it is not settled. Two of the most famous moon goddesses in the Americas, and both of their lunar credentials are shaky. Notice the pattern yet? Further south, the Andes. And here, finally, is a moon goddess who is real, undisputed, and enormous. Mama Killa, Mother Moon, sister and wife of Inti the sun, and, in the reckoning, his elder. In Cusco, in the great enclosure of Coricancha, the sun had a wall of gold, and the moon had a wall of silver. Because Mama Killa weeps silver, that is the myth. The metal in the mountains is the moon's tears come down, which is worth pausing on, given what Spain came for. They tore the silver off her walls and shipped it across an ocean. She is served by priestesses. She keeps the festival calendar. The Quechua word Killa means both moon and month, the same word, undivided. And the Inca were afraid of her in one specific way. They were terrified of a lunar eclipse. Because an eclipse was not a shadow, it was an animal. A great cat or a serpent up there eating her alive. And if it finished, if the moon died, it would fall out of the sky onto the world. So the city fought back. Everyone came out. They shouted, they threw weapons into the air, they blew horns. And they beat the dogs, deliberately, to make them howl. An entire capital city screaming into the dark to frighten a predator off the moon. And it worked. Every time. Now Africa, and a last complication. Among the Fon of Dahomey, in what is now Benin, there is Mawu. Mawu is the moon, and she is female. Cool, gentle, associated with night and rest. Her counterpart is Lisa, the sun. Male, hot, hard, associated with work and the day. And the honest description is not two gods. Mawu Lisa is often described as one being with two aspects, sometimes twins, sometimes a single deity beyond gender entirely. Both are said to be children of Nanna, the creator who made the world and then stepped back from it. But there is a shadow over this one. Capuchin missionaries arrived in the 17th century and needed a word for the Christian God. They took phone names. Over centuries, a paired, balanced, gendered duality was quietly reshaped into something that could hold a single monotheistic God. So when you read that Mawu is the supreme deity, you may be reading a genuine phone idea, or a translation choice from 400 years ago. A useful warning. Sometimes the moon deity you are looking at is not a myth. It is a record of who wrote the myth down. So, put them all on the table. Sin, male. Thoth, male. Khonsu, male. Mani, male. Tsukuyomi, male. Chandra, male. Selene, female. Luna, female. Mama Killa, female. Mawu, female. And a scattering of contested cases in between. It is not a clean sweep either way. Anyone who tells you the moon is always male is selling you the mirror image of the same mistake. But look where the women are. Greece, Rome, the Andes, West Africa, and look where the men are. Mesopotamia, Egypt, Scandinavia, Japan, India, the great calendar keeping civilizations of the old world almost without exception. And now the answer. It is not psychology, it is not archetype, it is grammar. Go back to the reconstructed ancestor of half the languages in this video. Proto-Indo-European linguists have reconstructed its moon. It is the root of Mani in Norse, of Miesiats in Slavic, of Menuo in Lithuanian, and it is masculine. The oldest moon we can reconstruct from our own language family is a man, and the sun beside him is not. Follow that root forward and it lands in English twice, in moon and in month. The same word. It always was. So what happened in Greece? Greek inherited that masculine moon. The word came through as men, moon, month, masculine. And then Greek did something small and enormous. It took the masculine noun and made a feminine form of it, mene. And beside that, another name, built from the word for brightness, selos, selene, the shining one, feminine. That is the whole event. That is where the Silver Lady is born, not in a temple, in a suffix. Greek grammar made the moon feminine, and Greek myth gave the moon a woman's face. Latin agreed. Luna, feminine, and Latin conquered the world. Every language that inherits from them inherits her, the Romance languages, the scientific vocabulary, the poets, the painters, the tarot deck. Meanwhile, German kept the old arrangement and never let go. Der Mond, masculine. Die Sonne, feminine. Man in the moon, Lady Sun. Two branches of one family, disagreeing about the sex of the same rock, because their nouns disagree. Be careful about the claim, though. Nobody can prove the grammar caused the god. Language and story grow together, and pulling them apart is not always possible. Sumerian barely has gender the way we mean it. Quechua has none at all, and both produced enormous lunar deities anyway. So the honest version is smaller than the internet version, and better. Where a language genders its lights, the myth tends to follow, and it follows locally, which means the moon goddess is not a window into the deep human mind. She is a window into a Greek suffix carried on Roman roads. The archetype you were taught to feel in your bones is a 2,000-year-old regional preference with excellent public relations. And it cost us something. Under her, we lost the old man on the ziggurat, counting out the 30 days that gave us the month. We lost the bird who gambled 5 days out of the moonlight so the gods could be born. We lost the boy running from the wolf. We lost the brother a sister will not look at. We lost the cup of immortality that empties and fills and empties again. Here is the last thing. Go outside tonight and look up. That object has been the same for 4.5 billion years. Every single thing you feel about it, the silver, the softness, the femininity, the serenity, was added by people. Recently, in one corner of one continent, the moon has no gender. It never had one. We gave it several, then forgot that we had, and started calling our own habit an eternal truth. It is the oldest clock we ever built, and the first thing we ever counted with, and it has never once told us what it is. We just keep looking up and putting a face on it, and then insisting the face was always there.